I've gone over this before, but I've recently been seeing a lot of comments asking me to go over the different grades of copper and why the different grades have a different price. Unfortunately, all our finished grades of copper are locked up in another building, so I'm going to have to give you guys some examples of some copper that we're currently working through. But most scrapyards are going to buy copper in 3 different grades. You're going to have number 1 copper, number 2 copper, and Bare Bright copper wire, which is the easiest grade to understand because it is only stripped copper wire that is bright and shiny like a brand new penny. Now in ours, you can see some dull material. I've made a video about that in the past. We allow the material that is slightly discolored from the heat of the electricity and not foreign contamination. Number 2 copper is supposed to recover around 95%, and what I mean by that is when this is melted down, they're going to have 5% impurities and 95% copper. So you can see in here we've got copper tubing with solder joint ends. We've got copper that has some paint on it. And so basically anything that is a clean copper, 95% or better, but still has a small amount of contamination is going to end up over here. Now this bin is a little mixed, so it's going to maybe give you guys a bad example, but number 1 copper is going to recover around 99.5%, and so it's basically got to be copper that is basically 100%. So in this box it's a little bit mixed because we have like this copper tubing that has some dirt contamination. This is going to go in the number 2, and then we have some really thick copper wire that probably came out of a burnt building or something along those lines, and this is really clean pure copper, but it's not good enough for Bare Bright, which is why it is number 1. Here's a full box example of the Bare Bright copper, and I forgot to mention that Bare Bright is going to recover around 99.9%, and it has a high purity level, and they typically know exactly what the chemistry is, which is why this brings a little bit of a premium over number 1. And the value or the pricing difference can fluctuate with the market and the spreads that the copper mills are paying. Typically, Bare Bright's going to be between 5 and 10 cents more valuable than number 1, and the difference between number 1 and number 2 recently can be vastly different. Sometimes it's only, 15 to 20 cents difference. Sometimes it's as much as 30, 40, 50 cents difference. So you really just have to check with your local yard and see what they're paying. But as long as you keep your material separate and bring it in separated, they should be more than willing to pay the different prices based on the grade of material.